Is your relationship working? Or is it just impossible that in our day and time for relationships to work? In this video, we're going to explore and look at some of the reasons as to why relationships are not working in our day and time. This is the Anchored Man right here on CITAM Church Online, and my name is Precious Call. So, why are relationships not working in our day and time? I have a lot of friends around me who are ever hoping from one relationship to another, or breaking up, or being dumped, or just realizing what we used to have is not there anymore. It just fades off completely. And we seem to really get bored very fast these days in relationships, or we are looking for something that we are not getting. I have a few reasons that I've been looking at, and I've listened to a few people that I'm going to share. Number one reason why relationships are not working is some of us have unreal expectations. And I'm not just talking about relationships or come, let's have a feel-good moment. No, I'm talking about committing into relationships that would lead to marriage. For most of guys in my age and in my generation, we have very unreal expectations on one another or on relationships. Some of us completely are unable to put up with people because we think they are not where we want them to be. We want them to have achieved a certain level of wealth before we can commit to them, because that gives us safety or assurance that the future will be okay. You know, we want people to have gathered this much. We want a finished product, and we have a very a very skewed view of what to expect or to want from a partner. When I was getting married, I remember someone standing to give speeches, and he said, we have given you a raw girl. She's just a material. It's your responsibility to turn her into the wife you want. That all those things you want from her, it's your work. It's you to work with her to get her to that point. That we only give you the material and then you get to work. And sometimes that's how it works. It's impossible for you to expect just a young man who has started life the other day, or a young girl who has started life the other day, just out of school, her second or third year at work, to be at a certain level of achievement in life. That's a hard one. And a lot of us today, we are unable to journey with people because we have unreal expectations on them. Ladies that are eavesdropping on this conversation, would you trust your man to lead you even when he's still learning on the job? Well, if the answer is no, you might want to stay single for a while, because for all of us, it's a learning curve, and we need to adjust our expectations and realize we are dealing with raw materials, and we are in our formative seasons or ages of life. And as we do that, it becomes easier to extend grace, to accommodate growth, and to be gentle on mistakes, because they will happen, especially in the starting season. Secondly, and closely related to that, a lot of us are very impatient. We want things to start now, and tomorrow we are on cloud 9. We are too impatient. We don't appreciate and realize that life is a gradual process. Even the wealth we are looking for is a gradual process. The stability we are looking for is a journey. You don't just start and you're there. And relationships call for a lot of patience, a lot of extending grace to one another as you allow each other to grow, a lot of bringing our mistakes to light so that we can talk about them and get ourselves to a space where we can grow through our mistakes. But that's not a view we have. A lot of us are very impatient. We are impatient with the process. We are impatient with love. We are impatient with the development. And because of that, when we get into a relationship and realize it's not leveling up to what we wanted, we hop out and hook into the next one. And we find ourselves in an endless cycle of problems and issues all around us. But also, number 3 critical reason why relationships are failing is we have worldly standards of love, especially talking about Christian relationships, godly relationships that would lead to marriage. A lot of us, our standard of love is what we see in the world. It's Alejandro and Camila, and how he touches her and her hair stands and there are goosebumps, and that's what we imagine love to be. There's a gentleman who is opening the car doors for me, but sometimes the car is not there. And we have a lot of worldly measures, or what we understand love to be, that don't measure up to the standard of love in the Bible. The standards of love that we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, they are very heavy, they are weighty. Love is described as patient, kind, long-suffering. It has the ability to be patient. Those things we are talking about. It can suffer long as you wait for things to align to your way. That's the standard of love. And for those of us that are men, Ephesians 5:24 says to us, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. The love of Christ was sacrificial. It wasn't about what Christ is getting. It is that Christ intentionally chose to love the church so much that he gave himself to die for the church. That's the standard of love. If we don't see it that way, we will never be able to enjoy lasting relationships. The standards of love in the world love is very conditional. What is in it for me? What am I getting out of loving you? So when I realize that I'm loving this person and there is nothing I'm getting, there are no strings to it, I walk out. For as long as your standards of love are the worldly measures of what love should be, it will be very impossible to stay in a relationship. But also importantly and critically, a lot of our relationships are not working because we pushed God out of it. We don't have space for God. Remember in the Garden of Eden, when God started that very first relationship between Adam and Eve, he was part of it. When I was dating my wife, now she's my wife, my girlfriend then, she drew a triangle in my Bible and she wrote my name on one corner, her name on the other, and God at the apex. And then she said, every time we move closer to God individually, we move closer to one another. If you remove God from that apex, it will never work. Some of our relationships are straining and failing because we pushed God out. And the moment we pushed God out, we opened the door for compromise, we opened the door for sin, we opened the door for dishonor, and no wonder it's not working, because it can never work outside of how the owner intended for it to work. When you buy an electronic, there's always a manual book right there that tells you what this gadget can do, gives you its specifications, its capabilities, usage, and so on and so forth. It tells you the mind of the manufacturer. So if you neglect the manual, chances are you'll abuse the gadget. It can do 100 things, but you could only just be using it to do one thing. The manual for relationships is the blueprint, which is God's word. The day we push it out is the day we plunge ourselves into chaos. Let's hear from you on the comment section. What other reasons would you attribute to relationships not working in our day and time? And how can we help ourselves get better? Please join me in the next video as we keep on keeping it real here on The Anchored Man and continuing in this conversation. Share it far and wide to your brothers and sisters, your boyfriend, somebody coming out of a breakup, recalibrating to get into another relationship. This could be useful. And again, thank you for watching The Anchored Man.